Let's see.
Such as it is.
Let's see. Good morning. Whether you're here in person or on YouTube, I invite you to take a breath and just land in the space that you are in. Welcome to this Sunday morning. That's just life, some will say, from the cradle to the grave. It's in how you play the game, win or lose. I choose to disagree. I guess I'm wired differently. Let me share what I believe and learn from you. Live your life so each moment shown. Love has laid your cornerstone. Where you built and you sowed the seed of the simple legacy. Of your simple legacy. Did you let work at your hand? Did you seek to understand that we are all part of a plan that we can't see? Times when things got tough, well, did you hold the ones you love a little more than just enough upon your knees? Live your life so each moment shown. Love has laid your cornerstone. Where you built and you sowed the seed of your simple legacy. Of your simple legacy. There is life, there is death. Did you measure every breath by the love that reached the depth of your core? We all will meet again. That's when I'll call your name, my friend. To that I say amen from distant shores. Live your life so each moment shown. Love has laid your cornerstone. Where you built and you sowed the seed of your simple legacy. Of your simple legacy.
Tom, ring the bell.
Sorry.
Candle.
Now the candle. Just distracted.
Wherever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Good morning. And thank you for your flexibility. Sometimes just getting going is not the easiest thing. Well, good morning and welcome to First Unitarian Church of Toledo. Thank you for coming and thank you for tuning in via YouTube wherever you may be. My name is Tom Sheehan and I'm the service associate this morning. Our church is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, a nationwide association of over 1,000 congregations. We welcome all people of goodwill. Unitarian Universalism is a free religion. We have no shared creed, but we do affirm and promote our 7 principles, which you can find on the multicolored bookmark in the pew in front of you. Take it with you if you'd like. Now, the 5th of the 7 principles is about democracy. We affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. This principle seems to be particularly important to us this week, doesn't it? If you are visiting us today and have not already done so, please consider filling out the yellow card in the rack in front of you. If you would like to receive our weekly e-newsletter, the UUFYI, be sure to include your email address and we'll add you to our mailing list. Now, the FYI is quite newsy and it will let you know about everything that's going on in our church. After filling it out, you can give it to one of the ushers or put it in the offering basket in the lobby as you leave the service today. Also, as you leave the service, we invite you to walk straight down the hall to join us for coffee and conversation. Some of the congregants at the coffee hour will be happy to talk with you about any questions you may have about our faith and our church. And we hope to get to know you as well. At the beginning of the service, before we get into sacred mode, we give you a pretty long list of announcements. We want you to know that we are still emerging from pandemic isolation, and there's lots to do in the Toledo Unitarians congregation. Please be a part of our church on Sundays and throughout the week. Most of you know that we are between music directors. Until we find a new church musician to join our staff, we'll be having recorded music some Sundays and guest musicians when we can arrange it. Today, we are blessed with Carrie Patrick Clark, returning for another Sunday. And a preview for our December 18 all music service. Carrie will be playing and singing all the music. We look forward to that Sunday morning concert. If you know church musicians who might be possibilities for the Toledo Unitarians music director, please make them aware that we are searching. Music isn't the only category for our Sunday service needs. Are you interested in how to make television? We need tech and production crew members, and no experience is necessary. Our loyal production lead, Walter McGee, will provide training. It's not heavy lifting, and you get to learn new skills. And the other volunteers are nice. Please help us to provide our live streams. Now, I've done this many times, and I can say it's really interesting. And it would be a great opportunity for a young person, say a teenager, who is interested in TV. You get to see how TV is made. It's really interesting. And one more call for Sunday volunteers. Would you like to be a service associate up here like I am this week, helping the service to happen by assisting the minister in giving this welcome, some readings, and sometimes some other assistance? Please contact our office or Reverend Tim. The more people signed up, the better variety our Sunday services can have. If you'd like to use an assisted listening device to help with hearing our public address system during services, we are now broadcasting on FM 90.7, and we have a couple of small radios with headphones available. We're still trying to develop better ways for assisted listening. If you want to try the system out or have suggestions, please let Reverend Tim know. You in-person attendees can see on the back cover of the order of service that our holiday poinsettia and wreath sale is in progress. And we've also let our TV congregation know. Today is the final day for orders to be placed. You'll receive the poinsettias and wreaths in time for Christmas. If you're online and want to place an order, contact the church office. There's another fundraiser in the wings. Our holiday bazaar will take place December 3 and 4. There's a link in our order of service for you to sign up as a volunteer or to donate supplies. If you'd like to have a table as a vendor, contact the church office or Carla Loga Mercer, or use our uutoledo.org website WUFU contact form to express interest. And not for funds, but just for fun, we're going to have Friendsgiving again this year on Saturday, November 26th in Fellowship Hall. You're invited to that potluck. Look in the order of service for a Sign Up Genius link or contact the church office. Remote viewers will be working on making all these links available to you more easily. For now, the best way might be to join our Facebook private group. Finally, some of our congregants will be performing the beautiful Rutter Requiem at St. Timothy's Episcopal Church on East Boundary Street in Perrysburg at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today.
And good morning, all. Among the points for meditation and focus today, we keep on our minds, in our hearts, and with our spirits, voters, candidates, and issues up for decision. It's 2 days till Election Day. Early voting continues. If you have the right to vote, you the vote, and consider our liberal religious values as you ponder candidates and issues and mark your ballot. And may the life-threatening conflicts of current American political life be resolved safely and democratically. We hold closely the continuing Russian invasion of Ukraine. We side with the Ukrainians who must fight for their home. And we feel for the Russians wronged by their own government in this attempt at conquest of a neighbor. And with today's change to standard time, we think of those who are bound by the clock rather than able to use time for their own best actions. May the days flow smoothly. In our own lives and those of friends and family, there are health, relations, financial, and other challenges, including celebrating new lives and mourning deaths. One reason we join in religious gatherings is to realize these common links. May we have compassion for all.
Our opening words today, More Love, A Call to Worship by Nancy MacDonald Ladd. We gather in community every Sunday in a state of conflict for our very souls, a state both expansively hopeful and restrictively confined. We are hopeful that we might rise to meet a new day for those who seek and who serve the Spirit, hopeful that each and every one of us might encounter the sacred within, among, and beyond every human soul, and hopeful that such an encounter might work through us to topple the idolatries of our age. And yet, we also gather as a people who are not yet free, a people confined, unfree, contained. We are confined, unfree, and contained because in this culture of division, built upon the pain of the people at the margins, even the decent people hold our love too tightly, putting it in boxes, prefacing it with qualifications. I will love you if, I will see you if, I will bear the truth of my soul alongside you if and only if you agree with me, you look like me, you stand like me, you think like me, you act like me, you sing like me, you wear your gender on your sleeve and produce it upon demand. I will love you and will meet you in the sanctuary of our hearts if and only if you give me evidence of your good liberal values, virtues. If and only if you never fail to speak the language of the movement and never weep upon a street corner out of grief for your sheer inadequacy and the vastness of the struggle that you cannot even name. We are imprisoned by these ifs and only ifs. We are confined by the smallness of our loving, even as our souls remind us that we can only get free if we all get free together. And so today, as we intersect in honest work, let our hopefulness mingle with our conviction. Let our willingness to love beyond our expectations or experience break down our long-held barriers. Let our willingness to be honest about the hardest questions open us to new truths. May there truly be more love with no labels and no binary and no preface and no qualification and no arithmetic and no limit. May there be more love to liberate us all, and may we keep on today and every day until we find it and share it inch by precious inch with one another and with the world.
And as Tom lights our chalice, I bring these words by Kenneth Patton. We light our lamps, symbols of home and altar, of aspiration and knowledge. We, small flames burning in a great darkness, ask of our sister flame, what is the measure of our homes and our temples in all of time and space? What is the dream and the being of our lives of the lamp of love? And please join me in reciting the covenant of this congregation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our opening hymn is How Could Anyone, number 1053 in the Teal hymnal, and words will also be on the screen. And Carrie will play and lead us.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
morning. Nan-in, a Japanese master during the Meiji era, welcomed into his home a university professor who had asked to see him. The professor arrived, answered the master's simple, polite greeting with a brusque, arrogant reply, and strode past him into the house. The old man followed his guest quietly into the sparsely furnished living space and watched, his customary peaceful expression undisturbed, as the professor seated himself without being asked. "Will you honor me as my guest for tea?" Nan-in asked the professor. "Yes, I'd like tea," was the blunt reply, "and I want to ask you some questions." The professor continued with a self-satisfied smirk. "They say you are very wise, and I would learn what you have to teach." "Certainly," Nan-in replied. "I will gladly share all I know. But first, let us have tea." The professor frowned at Nan-in and then sighed impatiently. "Very well," he said, his voice curt. He rearranged his silken coat. After the task, he prepared the tea to the perfect, just long enough, but not too long, and set the simple, lovely dishes in an orderly arrangement on the cloth. The professor cleared his throat and adjusted his coat again. Nan-in at last finished all his preparations and was ready to pour. The master held his pot over the visitor's cup and began to serve him tea. The professor impatiently reached for his cup before it was half full, but Nan-in continued filling the cup. He poured his visitor's cup 3/4 full and then kept on pouring. When the cup was filled to the brim, Nan-in kept pouring, and the tea ran over the edge of the cup into the saucer. Nan-in, gazing calmly at the cup, continued to pour, and the tea overran the saucer and began to run over the table. The professor watched the overflow until he could no longer restrain himself. "The cup is full. No more will go in." "So it is," said Nan-in contentedly, and he stopped pouring the tea into the cup. He looked at the professor with his kind, steady gaze. "Like this cup, you are full to the brim with your own opinions, your own importance. How can you learn anything unless you first empty the cup?"
I'm a flower in your garden, planted in the sod you tend to weed and water. You leave the rest to God. Tuesdays are for flowers, gardens in full bloom, and it goes without saying. Tuesdays are for you. Well, I'm a brick that's meant for building that masons tossed aside. You picked me from the pieces, perfect in your eyes. Tuesdays are for building foundations, straight and true, and it goes without saying. Tuesdays are for you. Yes, it goes without saying, and I'll say it anyway. For all the gifts your love has given me, I say thanks. I am music in the morning, a song of words and rhyme, your heartbeat set in motion. You gave this music life. Tuesdays are for music, for slow and simple tunes, and it goes without saying. Tuesdays are for you. Yes, it goes without saying. Tuesdays are for you.
Thank you, Carrie. Please join me for a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer as I read What We Love, We Empower by Patrick T. O'Neill. Patrick is a former minister of the Brooklyn congregation that I attended. What we love, we empower. We can't claim to love justice as long as we are willing to tolerate oppression or racism. We can't claim to love peace unless somehow, in some way, we are seeking to make peace a reality in the world and in our personal lives. We work for what we love. We invest in what we love. We try to become worthy of what we love and of the people we love. We give of our time, our energies, our attention, and our resources so that what we love might thrive. This principle applies to our church as well. Becoming a member is also about empowerment, though we don't always think of it that way. By joining a church, we declare that what the church stands for, the principles it teaches, the works it engages, the community it strives to become, are all things we hold close to our hearts. By being members, we commit to empower this little institution. And we have a right to expect that this church will empower us in return. It will call us to higher ground, to greater love, greater compassion, greater caring for the world and its troubles, for those suffering and their pains, for the reprieved and their needs. It will empower us by calling us to live out our ideals and our principles in everyday life, in everyday relationships. It will empower our children too, if we have them. It will teach them tolerance and respect for the good and the holy. It will teach them self-love and love for others. It will provide safety and encouragement and community in times of celebration and of loss. This is our great covenant and compact as members of the church. This is what we are here to do and to be for one another. By what we do here, by what we contribute each in our own way here, by the people we become here, by the ideals and the visions that we embrace and follow, by the families that we help to shape here in this church, we increase the store of love and justice in the world. Let's observe 1 minute of silence.
Let us join together, shall we? Spirit of life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I have a reading, and I noticed that challenges are not only with Tom this morning at the beginning. I see there is a typo here in the script where I intended to write Tom. I have written Tim, but let's have Tom read it if we can.
Happy to oblige. Happy to oblige. Love is Our Greatest Purpose by J.E. Abernathy, Jr. We affirm that love is our greatest purpose. Accepting one another is the truest form of faithful living. The search for truth is our constant star. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as a beloved community.
And thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. Our congregational covenant begins, love is the doctrine of this church. And part of our great covenant, as we call it, is to seek the truth in love. Those phrases came into Unitarian and Universalist churches about 100 years ago. We have a long history of love, you might say. At denominational level, the Unitarian Universalist Association is considering a revision to Article 2 of its bylaws, which currently lists 7 principles and 6 sources from which we develop our liberal religious ways. There's also an 8th principle being adopted by many congregations. It's essentially on working for inclusion, anti-racism, and anti-oppression. And it's under consideration by the Toledo Unitarians for a possible vote at our next annual meeting in May 2023. If you attended summer services, you know that I gave a week to each of those 8 principles and 6 sources. And pardon me, my fingers and the page are not cooperating. Those services are posted on our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel if you want to see. Let me know if you'd also like to see the sermons in printed form as we're thinking about making a booklet. The draft revision of the Unitarian Universalist Association's Article 2 of its bylaws, under discussion now and possibly headed for a vote by delegates at the 2023 UUA General Assembly in Pittsburgh, close enough geographically for us to be able to have a full delegation attend, removes the principles and sources. It replaces the 7 principles with 6 values we all share, all of them surrounding and encompassing love, the enduring force that holds us all together, the new language says. And it includes the intentions of the 8th principle. The new 6 values are justice, generosity, evolution, pluralism, equity, and interdependence. And in place of a list of the 6 sources of our living tradition, the revision offers in an inspirations category that we have, quote, the full depth and breadth of sacred understandings as experienced by humanity, end quote. No sources specified, no carryover from the current list. The UUA board specifically stated, we charge this commission to root its work in love as a principal guide in its work, attending particularly to the ways that we and our root traditions have understood and articulated love, and how we have acted out of love. The draft of the new article has these specific references to love. We will transform the world by our liberating love. Love is the enduring force that holds us together. We draw from our heritages of freedom and reason, hope and courage, building on the foundations of love. Love inspires and powers the passion with which we embody our values. In the entry on justice, we work to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all people thrive. In the covenant part of the pluralism part, we embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. And in the separate section on freedom of belief, in expressing our beliefs, we do so in the spirit of love, in ways that further the beloved community. Is Unitarian Universalism the church of love? What do we mean by saying love is the doctrine of this church? Unitarian Universalists in our yellow shirts have tried to make some waves and relevance with our Side with Love campaign and organization, for example. And that has struck me as a little too much marketing of love, but that's a personal reaction. Love is a nice word. It can be too general. There have been a few times when in Christian churches, I've heard sermons on love, and the preacher ends up in a less than exciting explanation of the differences of 3 types of love according to the philosophical ancient Greeks. And there are more types than those, which the ministers didn't enumerate. Eros, or passion and intimacy, philia, or friendship, and agape, which includes the mutual love of a person and God in a deity belief system, and is the point of that preaching. Our Unitarian Universalist core of love, as declared, isn't so specific or segmented, I'd say. For us, there's kind of an ideal of an encompassing love for all, These days, giving special attention, for example, to inclusion racially and with LGBTQ plus people. How do we move from love from concept to living guide with this revised article? We want it to be more than feel good love of inspirational guidance, don't we? Do we risk irrelevance by being vague about love in a way that makes it meaningless marketing? I think that's my fear about the new language. If we don't spell out our principles, if we don't identify the sources that brought us to today's Unitarian Universalist plurality, inclusion, liberal approach to religion, do we have meaning? Is listing our values the same as stating our principles? Are inspirations as strong as sources? Love as a term is prevalent throughout culture. As an action, maybe not so much. How do we show that Unitarian Universalists intend to act in and with love? By more than a bylaw, surely, but is a bylaw a foundational basis for it? Many other churches also use love language, remember, and we might risk that our positioning of love gets confused with love of Christ or misread in another way that's not what we intend. So let's be sure to get good language in the new Article 2 that can't be easily misunderstood. It's unfortunate, but too often we have to tell others what Unitarian Universalism is. Many of you might have written an elevator speech to explain Unitarian Universalism in a membership class, for example, or for a religious education exercise. That's giving the you approach in as little time as possible, the amount it takes for an elevator ride with someone who pretty much has no distraction from hearing you. And I hope this is an invited conversation, not some self directed evangelism. I've given my elevator speech a few times from the pulpit, and the speech is always in development. What I say is along the lines of our all being on spiritual journeys. We don't all have the same route or even the same destination, but it's a joy to travel together, share stories, and support one another in our seeking and sometimes finding when our paths meet. We can be of different beliefs, including none. Many of us put faith in science and reason rather than the supernatural, while others might center themselves with earth based spirituality or another way of being religious. And we concentrate on the good of this world that we know and the people in it. Does your elevator speech fit with the new draft? Is there work to do on yours to make it compatible or on the revised article itself? Is it the same as love is the doctrine of this church? The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. Does it imply an intention to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another? With this discussion of how our UUA Article 2 bylaw might change, I realize that in my elevator speech, I don't use the word love. I also want to put in the word compassion in recognition of the compassionate living movement begun by Karen Armstrong, and my having been a very small part of the Multi Faith Council of Northwest Ohio working to have Greater Toledo officially be a compassionate region. Maybe for me, love is a given, not put in a graphic design illustration surrounded by contributors to or elements of the love. The Article 2 Study Commission is asking us to read the new Article 2 draft 3 times in a way to get comfortable with any resistance we might have while opening ourselves to a new approach after we might have been so comfortable with the existing principles and sources. The suggestion is to read it the first time to observe how it makes you feel. Read a second time, observe what it makes you think. Finally, read it a third time before thinking about any suggestions. And I have put a link to the Article 2 revision, the proposed revision, on our public Facebook page and our private Facebook group if you want to look at the revision. Some people have told me that they're comfortable with the revision or opening up to it. I know I'm still working my way through it, but I do bring baggage with me. For example, I used to work with legislative documents as my profession, so that carries in my approach to bylaws, not as open to the structure as the Revision Commission is. And as an editor and writer myself, I want elegant writing in this foundational document, and I could suggest a change or two. But I also know that as a white male minister of a certain age, I'm not the one who would best be making a new document. Let a younger generation take the lead and let me have a little bit of time to adjust because of my baggage. There are a few specifics too. While I don't have as extreme a position as some fellow humanists, I do regret not seeing some reference to free thinking in here. One church member told me they don't like that democracy isn't part of it. I've also heard a challenge with the word peace not being in there. It bothers me a bit that the list of the 6 values surrounding love, justice, generosity, evolution, pluralism, equity, and interdependence, isn't in alphabetical or any other discernible order. But a colleague has said that the revision is growing on them. And another member said they didn't think they'd like it in concept, but when they saw this draft, it was good. So I'm open to discussion of the changes. Do I like this revision? Personally, not really. I want to see how it continues to develop. I'm pretty sure there will be attempts at amending the draft when it gets to General Assembly. And if there are documents not part of the bylaws, but put forward as supporting items that might include something similar to the current lists and perhaps rewording of principles and sources rather than more general indications, I want to see how well they fit So they're actively part of the congregational conversation in a way similar to our current principles and sources. We're not all on board yet. Many Unitarian Universalists still don't realize that we're on our way to a vote on a major revision of our guiding document, of our principles and sources. Can we take a loving position and be open to the process? Understanding about needed change if we're going to be more relevant as a liberal religious movement. The proposal will go to the Unitarian Universalist Association board in January, and its first General Assembly consideration will be this coming June. Let's see how it changes between now and General Assembly. The doctrine of our congregation is love. We say it weekly. Let's try to find and live out together the ways of love, as the revision states, and dwell together in peace, seek the truth in love, and help one another. So be it. And now a brief word about stewardship. We're in the midst of our annual drive for your pledges. Remember that what you give directly supports First Unitarian Church of Toledo and the liberal religious movement. We can't be here without the contributions of members, supporters, and friends. And it's better for all if we have a solid schedule of financial commitments, a realistic pledge, so we can plan well. Please give. If you don't have a form, contact the church office or pick up a form in the lobby. Thank you for supporting the church, even when we talk too much about money.
And there are many ways to give. You see in the pews in front of you a little envelope. You're certainly welcome to put your contribution in there. And in the interest of saving our resources, I can say that if you put a check in that envelope with all your personal identifying information and use the memo line, you don't need to fill out the envelope, and we can use it again. There you go. Also, you can go to the website where it's very easy. You can see there on the screen. You can click on Give and then click on Online Giving. And you can use the old-fashioned post office system of writing a check and sending it to First Unitarian Church at the address that you see on the screen. So please give as generously as you can. Finally, as you go out, you'll see a basket on the table in the lobby, and you're welcome to put your contributions there.
My arms be your shelter when you are most alone, when four walls don't surround you. My heart will be your home. I will be your refuge for the reason you must know my love. Save it from the dangers that fill this world of ours. And when oceans come between us, we're more than miles apart. I will find the strength from somewhere. So with these hands and heart, my love, I will build a bridge. Build a bridge. When you reach the river's edge, Wonder where love is. Build a bridge. Build a bridge. So between my heart and yours, love will reach the other shore. I will build a bridge. When the weight of all your worry is weighing heavy on your shoulders, and you haven't any strength for holding on, I will be the hands that hold you, carry and support you. For love is here, right where it belongs. I will build a bridge, build a bridge. When you reach the river's edge, wonder where love is. I'll build a bridge, gonna build a bridge. So between my heart and yours, love will reach the other shore. Build a bridge, I'll build a bridge.
I got to meet and write about Carrie Patrick Clark back when I was religion editor of the Toledo Blade. And I'm so pleased that we've kept in contact and that you can come here and bless our services with music, not just that you play, but that you write. And we certainly love the creativity. Thank you. Let me tell you what's coming soon. Next Sunday, our 9:45 a.m. spiritual forum will be part 3 of A Matter of Justice, which is presented by Phil Park Thomas. And the 11 a.m. service will have Melissa Jeter leading the service. She has this pun-inspired title, Are You Up to the Challenge? Some of you might not realize that I have been preaching every Sunday for half a year, 26 weeks here, which is unusual for Unitarian Universalist ministers, but it's something I wanted to do. So next week, I will be taking a week off, but I'll be preaching. But that's going to be in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I'll see you back in another week.
And immediately after the service, please do join us for a coffee hour straight down the hall. Our closing words today, Love by Clinton Lee Scott. Love is a rainbow with all colors in the wide spectrum of life. Love is the brightest star in the firmament of shining stars. Love is the cohesive that makes for family, binding together parents and children and grandchildren. Love holds together the variant peoples of the world by their need for one another. Love can be a destroyer. Love of power has brought strong nations to their downfall. Love of money has led the ambitious to ruin. Love, blind and undisciplined, degrades the affections to the level of folly and delusion. Love needs the restraints of reason and the light of wisdom. Love is the pure gold of our natures, but it can be debased, as all precious metals can be debased.
As we send the flame of our chalice into the community, let it carry our values and inspirations. As we look at the roots and wings of our faith, considering the place of love within, throughout, and surrounding our principles and sources, may the chalice flame be ever present.
find I'm asking questions never lead to answers. Listening, but I can't hear the whispers in the wind. There's a road less traveled that leads to understanding, going round in circles again. Am I making any sense to you? We're both on this journey. I don't think that it's coincidence you and I are here. Well, I might do most of the talking. It's not that I fear silence, hoping that these words convince my ears. I wanna dance when no one else hears music. I wanna love as if hurting has no chance. I wanna live. There is no tomorrow, so I can say, when I look back, I just dance. I just dance. Yes, I dance.